I got a bit of wind here today, but it feels nice and cool outside. I'm supposed to be getting some rain here in about a week. I was out back there taking a look at my grass. My grass is coming in very well. My grass is coming in, I would say it's about 2 inches tall right now, but it hasn't really started to accumulate any substantial amount of biomass. The leaves are real thin still, so it still needs some time. But yesterday, well, I had a few minutes just at work yesterday. I think it was maybe right after my lunch break, and I had a few minutes, and I was reading papers on winter wheat. I was just trying to collect as much information as I could on the winter wheat in particular, right? Because winter wheat, it is a cultivar of grass, right? So if I go on the internet, I can find specific cultivars of grass, and I can read about specific cultivars. So grass isn't just grass, right? There's winter wheat, there's winter rye, there's rye grass, there's triticale, there's all different types of grass. And so, like when I go on the internet and I try I go on the internet to look up papers to collect information on specific cultivars of grass. I look up the specific cultivar of grass that I am growing, winter wheat. And so yesterday, right after my lunch break, I had a few minutes left over, so I was just on the internet looking up published papers for winter wheat, and I found one paper. So what I was particularly looking for, okay, so there may be different cultivars of grass, but the physiological structure of the grass plant is about the same in all cultivars of grass. So like if I have a human being, I may have one human being who's 5'10", and I may have another human being who's 5'9", but they both, one may be this, one may be that, whatever, right? But they both, as long as they're a human being that doesn't have any sort of like major deformities or any major sort of accidents or anything like that, they're both gonna have 2 arms, 2 legs, they're both gonna have 2 eyes, right? So plants, there may be different cultivars of plants, but the physiological structure of the plant is the same. And so yesterday, what I look for when it comes to growing grass, and I'm about to put my animals on the grass, what I look for is the flag leaf emergence. And so the flag leaf is the little leaf that sticks up in the air when the plant is getting ready to put on the seed, and the flag leaf is the part of the plant that contains the seed of the grass plant. And so yesterday I was looking up information on the winter wheat plant to figure out as much as I could about the development rate of the winter wheat plant, particularly when does the flag leaf emerge, what signs should I look for that the flag leaf is emerging, and just to get because these things, I just like to read about them just to add on to the things that I know, right? And so yesterday I was reading about winter wheat, and one thing that I found interesting is that when they write about winter wheat and the physiological development of the winter wheat plant in scientific papers, they utilize a unit of measurement called the growing degree days. And so growing degree days is if I take the top temperature of the day, the high temperature of the day, which is about 80 here, and the low temperature of the day, which is about maybe let's say 50, they add them two together. So 80 plus 50 is 130, right? It's actually about 55, but if I try and add 80 to 55 and then divide it by 2, I won't be able to do it. And so the low temperature is about 50. It's 55, but I'm just gonna say 50, and because it has to be whole flat numbers, or I can't do the addition, and I can't do the multiplication, and I can't do the division. And so 80 plus 50 is 130. Divided by 2, that's 65. And so 65 minus 32. So I add the high temperature of the day, I subtract the low temperature of the day, I divide it by 2, and then I subtract 32. And that is how I get the growing degree days. And so 80 plus 50 is 130. Minus or divided by 2 is 65. Minus 32 is 33. So 33 growing degrees, right? growing degree days. That's how they calculate this unit of measurement, the growing degree days. And so the interesting thing, when I was reading about this unit of measurement, I was like, it is an interesting unit of measurement, and it accounts for the fact that if the weather goes below 32, if it goes below freezing, the grass plant has stopped growing. But it does not account for that the level of soil moisture, right? It doesn't account for how much water is there in the soil. It doesn't account for what if it goes over 85 degrees, right? Because if it was like 115 degrees outside, if it was like 100 degrees outside, if it was like 95 degrees outside, the winter wheat plant wouldn't be growing at all anyway. And so the growing degree day measurement, it is an interesting thing to see, but it does not account for everything. But for all intents and purposes of what I am going it does have its uses, right? The growing degree days unit of measurement does have its uses. And so they were writing about the development of the winter wheat plant according to the number of growing day degree hours that have been accumulated. And so it says the paper was saying at 900 to 1,000 hours of growing degree days accumulated, the flag leaf has started to emerge, and somewhere between 1,000 to 1,500 hours of growing day degree hours, 1,000 to 1,400 degree, about 1,400 degree day hours, excuse me, it's about 1,400 degrees. At about 1,400 growing day degree hours, the plant has started to accumulate the seed, has started to put on seed. And so somewhere between 1,000 to 1,400 growing day degrees, the winter wheat plant will have gone from having a flag leaf emerge to putting seed on that flag leaf. And so long story short, somewhere between about 30, so if I'm accumulating 33 growing day degrees, or excuse me, that is correct, growing day degrees a day. So if I'm accumulating 33 growing day degrees a day, and I am looking to graze my cattle when the flag leaf has started to emerge, but before it has started to put on seed, then I will be grazing my grass somewhere at around the 30 to 45 day mark. So sometime between 30 and 45 days of after emergence, after seeding, I will be grazing my cattle. And so right now it's been about I would say it's probably been about a week. My grass has probably been growing about a week. And so I probably still got about another 3 weeks or so before I really want to start grazing my cattle on it. And okay, so there are other things to account for, right? It's not like I just have to consider the physiological development of the plant. I also need to consider that, this grass will be being harvested by my cattle. So my cattle will be walking around on the grass eating it. And if my cattle are walking around on the grass eating it, the boundaries of success have changed, right? The boundaries of success have changed. If I were going to grow this grass for a grain crop, if I were going to grow this grass for a hay crop, the things that I would need to consider would be different, right? Because I could increase the fertilizer concentration, I could reduce the fertilizer concentration application frequency if I were going to grow this grass for hay, or if I was going to grow it for grain. And so, I think there's a plastic bag over here. Some of my animals are chewing on it. But we can go take a look at the grass. But depending on what I grow the grass for, the things that I need to accomplish on a weekly basis are different. And so if my cattle are going to go and graze this grass, I don't really want them to graze the grass right after I put fertilizer on the field. So if I put fertilizer on the field, let's say I go and I take a look at this grass, right? And I say, okay, so if I have about 50 pounds of nitrogen, 50 pounds of phosphorus, 50 pounds of potassium on this soil, and I've had 4 inches of water on this soil at this point, and I anticipate that over the next 3 weeks I will get 1 more inch of rain, right? If that is what I'm thinking, if that is what I believe will occur, and I need to make my plans around that, because I don't have irrigation. And so I need to formulate my plans according to the weather. and also growing degree days, because if it gets too cold, it's not really going to grow, right? So this is what my grass look like right now. Y'all can actually tell, even from this far away, y'all can tell how much it's growing on a daily basis, and it looks real good, right? It doesn't look like some kind of off color or anything like that. It's just it's not too dark, it's not too light. It's obviously growing. You can actually see it growing from here. Like, I'm actually probably 35 yards away, and y'all can actually tell just by looking at it from here that it's growing on a daily basis. It's growing at a very rapid rate. And so when I look at a grass like this, and I'm like, okay, so I want my cattle to graze it, right? Well, I don't want to be fertilizing my grass, you know, a day before. I don't want to let my cattle out on the grass a day before, a day after I fertilize it. And so if I'm in a situation like right now where I'm like, okay, so I have about 250 growing degree days accumulated. I have about 250 degree days accumulated. I'm looking to graze my cattle when it's at about 1,000. So when my grass has essentially metabolized 1,000 growing degree days, I'm looking to graze my cattle on it. And so no matter what, I'm going to be sitting here waiting for about 20 days. Well, and then I look at my weather and it says, okay, I get about 1 more inch of rain over the next 3 weeks, and I have about 50 pounds of phosphorus, potassium, nitrogen, and 20 pounds of sulfur on my field right now. And I applied that on my field about 10 days ago. I anticipate that I will have about 10 more days of fertilizer on this soil before the grass has essentially metabolized the majority of the fertilizer. I can hit multiple birds with one stone. If my cattle can't go on the grass anyway, because it's in too early of a stage of development, and I get 1 more rain event over the next 3 weeks, and I anticipate that my grass, if that rain is all that I get over the next 3 weeks, and the biomass density of my grass is 175 pounds of seed per acre, my field is metabolizing a lot of fertilizer right now, because I have so much plant material on this field right now. It is utilizing a lot of resources. It's utilizing a lot of fertilizer. It's utilizing a lot of water. It's utilizing a lot of carbon from the air, everything, right? Because the biomass density of my field is very high. And so if I think that I'm gonna see if I'm gonna talk about my plans, right? Forget everything else. This is just what I'm doing, okay? These are just like, when I sit here and I make plans, this is what my plans sound like. This is what my plans look like. If I need to sit 20 days, right? If I believe that the average high temperature of the day is going to be 80 and the low temperature is going to be 50, that means I will accumulate something around 30 growing degree days a day. And if my grass right now is at about 250 growing degree days accumulated, and I'm looking to graze my cattle when it's 1,000 growing degree days accumulated, I'll need to be sitting here no matter what for 20 days. I won't be able to let my cattle out on it for 20 days. And if I'm looking to add, and if I'm going to get 1 more rain event in the next 3 weeks that will accumulate more than 0.75 inches, then I need to utilize that 1 rain event to apply fertilizer on my field. So how much fertilizer am I looking to apply? When I think about it like that, I would say I'm looking to apply about 35 pounds of nitrogen, about 10 pounds of phosphorus, 10 pounds of potassium, and about 5 pounds of sulfur. That is, and I'm not saying that everybody should go and plant their field at 175 pounds of winter wheat seed per acre and utilize these fertilizer numbers. These fertilizer numbers and the amount of seed that I drilled per acre, it only really makes sense on this field. Every field is going to be different. If someone has a sandy loam field and their field has higher drainage, they're going to need a different seeding density. They're going to need a different fertilizer density. They're going to need different types of fertilizer. There's a lot of things that go on. There is no such thing. I can't just show up on a video and say, okay, everybody do this, and everybody going to have extremely good results. That's not how the world works. Everything needs to be accounted for according to the dynamics of the situation. Because the world is a dynamic place. Like this week, this month, I may get 5 inches of rain, right? I may get 4 inches of rain in the first week of the month, and then I may get 1 more inch of rain in the last week of the month. The next month I may get 4 inches of rain, but I get 1 inch of rain every week. And then the next month I may only get 3 inches of rain, and it may come down at 2 inches and 1 inch. You know, it really depends, right? The dynamics of the situation need to be accounted for, and it needs to be accounted for at an extremely thorough level. You know, making money, like, you know, like when I say, you know, I clear $40,000 a week, eight months out of the year, growing grass on 10 acres. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. You know, like when people listen to me, right, and they listen to me talk, they need to understand that I make $40,000 a week, 8 months out of the year, growing grass on 10 acres. If you want to perform at the level that I perform at, this is what the reality of my life looks like. These are the things that I need to do, right? I mean, I don't just walk into the bank one day and drop $40,000 into my bank account. That's just not how it works. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in between, a lot of stuff. And so, you know, but I'm not saying that everybody should walk around and try and make $40,000 a week, because if that's not what you want to do, I mean, you know, then that's fine. You know, like, people don't need to make $40,000 a week to be happy. But it's all up to the individual, right? I mean, but if you do decide that you want to be a farmer, you know, so a lot of people, when they say they want to be a farmer, right? And they say they want to be a farmer, and you know, they only want to be a farmer if it's going to be easy and it's going to make them feel good. A lot of people, when they talk about they want to do something, they really only want to do it if they think it's going to be easy, and only if it's going to make them feel good. If things get excruciatingly difficult, they usually don't want it anymore. A lot of people, that's usually what happens. They go, oh man, they fall in love with the idea. They say, oh man, yeah, I want to be a farmer. Oh man, yeah, it's going to be so wonderful. Oh man, it's going to be so incredible. And then they say, oh man, yeah, I want to go and be a farmer. And then they try and go and do it, and then they get freaking wrecked. They lose all their money. They live a miserable life, and then you know, they quit, right? They quit on like year 3 or 4. It's very difficult to get to year 15, to get to year 14, working 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's very difficult to get to that point without quitting. You know, a lot of people, you know, like when I drive around my local community and stuff, and I take a look, you know, that there's a few hundred acres of grass, some kind of a ryegrass or a winter wheat, about 2 minutes away from me. And you know, and they got hundreds of acres out there of this grass, and they only got like 50 cattle out there. And it's like, man, you know, they went through all this time and effort, and they planted all this grass. They planted like 500 acres of grass, and they only got 50 cattle out there, you know. But people like that, it may look cool, right? It may look cool, but they're losing money. They're losing a lot. I mean, maybe they're breaking even. A lot of people, they may look like they're doing good, and they may look like they got a lot of cool stuff and all this and that, but when you actually get to know the person, financially, they are not doing very good at all. Most people, they don't got money going for them at all. A lot of people are getting wrecked financially. And if anybody, not just, you know, but if anybody really decides that they want to be a farmer, right? If you don't make money doing it, chances are you're going to be miserable. You're going to be horribly miserable. I mean, you're going to be like, oh my God, how am I going to pay the bills? Oh man, how am I going to pay for this? Oh man, how am I going to pay for that? Oh man, the bank's coming after my house. Oh man, you know, but that's, you know, you got to make money. You know, if people who want to be a farmer, you know, if you fall in love with the idea of farming, you know, get yourself a shovel and buy yourself a $10 sack of chicken manure, organic chicken manure from the department store, and start yourself a little garden. Don't go and buy a piece of land. You know, because if you start owing the bank money and all this and that, and oh man, you know, I thought farming was gonna be easy. Oh man, I thought I could just show up and be good at it. Oh man, I thought I could make money. Oh man, I thought my dreams were important. None of that matters. You know, that this is a horrible thing to say. But the reality of the world is that there are a lot of people here, right? There are a lot of people on this planet. If somebody sucks and they get wrecked and everything just goes horribly wrong for them, the world doesn't care. The world doesn't care. I mean, you'll just literally be stuck in that hole forever, and the world will just leave you there. And so, you know, me, when people listen to me talk, y'all have to understand that, you know, I put myself in a do or die situation, right? Like, the only reason I did this, you know, when I sat there and I had to sign the paperwork for the bank to buy this land, you know, and I had to teach myself how to run cattle, and I had to teach myself over 15 years how to grow plants. Literally, I gave up everything to do this. And so, and also at the end of the day, at this point in my life, I put $40,000 a week in my bank account 8 months out of the year. And so, you know, account for those things. You know, consider that before you get your feelings hurt. Or consider that before you take my advice to heart. I mean, consider those things. You know, I don't just wake up one day and pull this stuff out of my butt and just say, this is what I'm going to, you know, and this is a real life. I read about these things. I learned about these things. It took me a long time to get here. And so, but that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.